I'm an email ninja.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God, I can't believe I just did. I'm so tired right now too, Keek. I don't know where the hell that just came from.
You know what? Get the blood flowing. You need it.
Holla, right? Get it flowing. Holy shit. Well, hey, people, welcome to The Word. I'm Keenan, your host. I got my girl Kira Moore here. Say hello, Kira. Kiki B.
Hello. We've got a good show for you and some awesome guests, so get ready.
Yes, we have a truly badass show today. Guys, The Word is where you come to get your sales, motivation, success, and selling information in a non-boring, freestyle, unpackaged way. And today we do not fail you. Look, we're talking about email today. Email is a critical tool to driving your number. Email is a critical tool at the top of the funnel from prospecting. So today we're going to help you get some practical advice to use email to crush it in selling, to grow your pipeline, and turn that fat pipeline into dollars in sales, because that's what your boss wants, that's what his bosses wants, that's what her bosses want. So with that said, what are we going to do today to kick it off? Oh, people, I have been talking about it for a while. Kiki, what are we going to talk about right out of the gate?
Well, we have kind of some big announcements here. So, as you know, we're on Google Hangouts right now. You can find us on YouTube. You will continue to be able to find The Word on YouTube and iTunes and all those good things in 2016. However, we are going to be changing the format a little bit, which is pretty exciting. We're going to be moving to Blab, which allows for you as the audience member to pop in. We're going to have 4 squares. And when we open up the seats for question and answer, you can pop in and you can talk, look our special guests in their eyes, and ask them your questions. So I think it's going to add a whole new element. So exciting stuff in 2016 for The Word.
Yes, we're elevating the ability for you to engage and interact and get more out of the show. If you're listening to it on iTunes, it's the biggest number of our followers. You'll have to find more time in your schedule every Thursday, people. Every other Thursday at 1 o'clock Eastern, 10 o'clock PST. You'll have to find more time to engage, because you'll get a chance to talk, virtually touch, and feel the guests we're talking about. So, with that said, also, people, big announcement. It's here. Not talk. How to be successful in the 21st century that nobody is telling you is now available on Amazon. We are very excited. We've had great reviews. Kiki, is this not fun?
It's awesome. I've never been a part of something like this. It's tremendous. It catch fire. It's awesome.
Yes. The reviews have been great. The social has been fantastic. So, Not Taught, What It Takes to Be Successful in the 21st Century Nobody's Teaching You is now available. Read it, enjoy it, take a picture of yourself with it, and I will send you an additional copy free autographed. So make it happen. Boom. All right, so that's what we have. There is our house cleaning. Let's just get into the show, because look, we're taking a slight deviation from our last week. We've talked a lot about the psychology of sales. We've talked a lot about helping you become a better salesperson internally. But now we're going to talk about how you can actually sell using a tool like email, and you can apply it now. Better with it to drive real world results. And we have the godfathers of email. Guys, our panel today is crazy good. Okay? It is crazy good. We have the CEO, Matthew Bellows, from Yesware. Yesware is an application that allows you to track, it allows you to schedule, it allows you to manage the metrics of the success of your email at the rep level. We have, this is what I love, we're going to get a little battle going on, I think. We have their biggest competitor, TK and Tout App, at the same table. Don't tell me Keenan and The Word can't get it done. It's like getting Microsoft and Google at the Apple at the table at the same time, baby. We did it big, so this is going to be fun. So we have TK with Tout App. Tout App is also an email service that allows you to track, allows you to monitor, and manage the metrics of your emails going out to your customers, create templates. I'll let them both talk about that. And then we also have an interesting participant. They're with BombBomb. BombBomb lets you implement video into your emails. And so we have Steve Passanelli. Did I say it right, Steve?
Yes, that's correct.
Boom! Got lucky.
Nice.
So Steve is the CMO of BombBomb. BombBomb allows you to use the medium of video within your email. So it's all about email today, people. It's all about email. So let me just jump right in. I'm going to start with Matt. Give us a quick elevator pitch on Yesware.
Yesware is basically software for salespeople. So we do two things. We help salespeople be more effective by adding all kinds of features to their normal workflows. So we add features to email, to mobile phone, to calendar, to CRM, to help them be more effective. And then we take the data out of that activity and we share it with the right audience. We share it with the manager so they can see how their teams are doing. We share it with the VP of sales so he can see what deals are going to close, etc.
Fantastic. Okay, TK, here's your chance. Tell us about ToutApp.
Hey, happy to be here. ToutApp does three things. And well done. You did get the Microsoft and the Google. The question is, who's the Microsoft and who's the Google, and what does it mean?
I'm staying out of that one, baby.
So we do three things. The first thing we do is we help you prospect better. We have an entire process that helps SDRs be really effective on our platform. As you create meetings, we help you pass it over to an AE, and we help AEs close more deals. And then the third thing we do is we collect data across the whole process and help managers understand what your top performers are doing.
All right, Steve, my man, you're the guy who sort of added a whole new layer onto the concept of email. Tell us about BombBomb.
So BombBomb allows you to get face-to-face with more people more often. It's for salespeople that perform better when they're in front of someone else, where you can articulate your message more clearly, add subtlety and nuance. We've been communicating one way our entire life since the beginning of mankind, and that is face-to-face. It's only been recently that we're forced to communicate over the written word. And there's a lot that is missing from that written word, especially for salespeople. So we're trying to humanize digital communication.
Boom. All right, I love it. All right, guys. So let's start with a problem. All right, and we'll just go around the horn. We'll just keep working our way around the horn. Why is email so ineffective for most people today? I'll start with you, Steve.
Why is it so effective? Ineffective?
Yes.
Ineffective, because I think we've been conditioned to believe over the past decade that you get someone, you work personally one-to-one with your customers, your current clients, and then someone becomes a past client and you put them on a drip campaign system, and it's not personal and it doesn't speak to their needs, or you try to prospect and you try to take a huge net and toss it out there and take all of these people and try to figure out who wants to do what, and then hope that these automated campaigns are going to help you identify, which they can and which they did for years. But I think a lot of people's email marketing is ineffective because it's not personalized enough and they're not making personal touches at the right times, which I know Tout and Yesware can certainly help with that too.
Okay. All right, TK, what's your thought on that? Why is email so ineffective?
I would disagree. I think email is amazing, right? I think that before in sales, you had to do a bunch of cold calls, you didn't connect, and maybe you left a voicemail, your message never got out there. I think today, you can send an email to 500 people in a really personalized way and really make an impression and get responses back on their own time. So we're doing better than ever before. I think we're a bunch of pansies and are complaining because we know it can be so much better. And I think the ineffective piece on email is I think today we use tools like Gmail and we use tools like Outlook, and that's designed for the lowest common denominator. It's for everyone. Your Gmail doesn't realize you're in sales, and that is the biggest flaw with email today. And that's the big thing that we try to do. We try to recognize you're in sales and cater email to how a salesperson uses it. And I think that's the big gap in the market right now. Once email becomes self-aware, and it's not just email, once calendars become self-aware, once phones become self-aware and understands what you do for a living and how you do it, software is going to get better. And that's what companies like us are trying to do. We're trying to recognize that you work a certain way and the software should adapt to that.
Okay. All right. I'm glad you argued. I'm glad you pushed back. I like that. Matt, what about you?
I would say, email can be an incredible tool, but when it fails for people, it largely fails because people take the approach of pushing as opposed to offering. So people's emails that are all about do this. I can't tell you how many emails I get where it's like, hey, please introduce me to the right person for X. And my take on this is like, look, the internet exists. Go to LinkedIn, look at our corporate page, look at the people who do it, and send them an email directly. And when you send that person an email, don't be like, give me 15 minutes of your time, or can I please have 7 minutes of your time? No, give them something first. So it's a lot about like how to be a good writer and how to be a good friend. Like offer something first. I found this article I thought you would like. I think what you're doing is really interesting. Let me talk to you more about it. Have you ever thought about X or Y or Z? Like all these tactics to give first make you stand out way more than 90% of the email that you get as a salesperson. So.
All right, so this is my interpretation, and okay.
And can I just add something?
Yeah, absolutely, out of the way.
Because I agree with what Matthew said right there, 100%. It's funny, we act totally different online than we do in real life, and you would never walk up to a stranger on the street and be like, "Hey man, give me 10 minutes of your time to help me out." It just wouldn't happen. You would make small talk, you would start a conversation, and I think email is growing up, and we're figuring out how to make not necessarily small talk, but we're figuring out a real way of injecting ourselves into a conversation like you would do at a party. You wouldn't just walk up and ask for something from someone. So I love that answer that Matthew gave right there.
Okay, so good. I'm glad we got here because I'm gonna throw out a comment and then I want you guys to react to the comment because I'm a huge fan of context. Maybe because I'm slower and not as smart as the average person, so I need lots of context to put it together or whatever. So I talk in context, and I also present in context. So as we go through the rest of the show, I want to make sure we have the right context in place. So email is nothing more than a distribution medium. Therefore, the problem with email is the distributor, the human behind it. Yes or no? Right context? TK, we'll go with you.
I'm thinking that over, yeah.
Well, let me parse what you said. You're saying that email is just a communication mechanism. It's the other person on the...
It's just a distribution medium. It's right. Flat until I put something on it. It's like a canvas. Until I paint with it, until I put something, it's nothing. I hit it. If I hit send and I haven't done anything, it's nothing.
If you send an email to nobody, there's no one, right? It's the truth.
Or if I write nothing in it, I can send an email with nothing in it. So really, it's the end user.
Yeah.
Well, I think the thing that one of the things I always highlight, if you really get into tactics of how to write a great email and how to communicate effectively, I think one of the things that people forget is they try to close the whole deal on that first email. If it's your ask, email is incredible because you can just look up someone's email address and go and send them an email. But people forget that you can't close the deal on the first email, and they forget that there's an actual person on the other side. And they have feelings, and they're busy, and they don't know you, and they don't know where you're coming from. And I'll get these emails that say, we are so-and-so company, we do these things, we're rated #1, and then 5 more paragraphs. And in the end, it's basically like, do you want to buy? Which is the same as saying, do you want to spend 30 minutes of your time with me? It's like, no, I don't want to spend 30 minutes of my time with you, which is the same as, me asking me for $100, basically. And I think the human element is often forgotten. I think the human element is often forgotten even when people start using tools like ours, like Yesware and ToutApp and SalesLoft and Outreach. People forget that it's not about sending out the 500 mass emails. There's a human being on every other end, and you have to remember that they're unique and they're different, and you need to make it compelling for them. And you can't close the deal on the first email. There's still that relationship building because it's a human being on the other end.
Beautiful. So it is human. Matt?
It kind of depends on what kind of product you're selling. So if you're selling a $20 widget and you've got to get 1,000 of those sold in a month, then the sort of shotgun approach is what people generally do. And it's one kind of sales. It's not the best kind of sales for human beings to do. It's actually much better for computers to do that kind of stuff. So that kind of selling is getting marginalized and pushed down into automated e-commerce. But if it's a solution sale, if it's a large expense, if it requires big integration, or any of these other kind of deeply embedded, more custom solutions, then it really requires a personal relationship. And as you make that personal relationship, it's not so much about casting the wide net as finding the right person to talk to, getting to know who they are, reaching out with a personal note about something that's relevant to them, providing them value, and then starting a conversation.
I totally agree. I see so many people. If you really get into the meat of this, right, there's sales managers out there, SDR managers out there, there's salespeople out there. They're all looking at tools like ours and looking at the evolution of email. So many people are getting it wrong. They're getting it wrong in that they're taking a human being, they're paying a human being 40K base, 50K base, 60K base, depending on if they're in Georgia, Boston, or San Francisco, and they're paying them to hit a button that blasts out 1,000 undifferentiated emails.
Which frankly is spam. I mean, that is spam.
Absolutely, that's spam, and it's also the wrong way to sell. And in a lot of cases, they're not selling the thing that Matthew, you and I are talking about, which is the $20 widget that's a commodity. It's a solution sell, but they're taking the solution sale and selling it like it's a $20 widget. And I think that gets to the root of the big problem. We're essentially giving sales managers and SDR managers this highly sophisticated piece of machinery, and they're using it in the most rudimentary way possible. Buy Marketo and blast out 1,000 emails if you want to do that, but that's a lazy way to do it.
Yes, Steve, you want to jump in?
Yeah, sure. I think the problem is most people start with where they want the recipient to be and not where they are. And I think the reason why that happens, and I sent an article over on the epidemic of facelessness, because when you're in front of someone, you know how to engage. Most people, because from the moment they were born prepared to perceive the world and read emotions and read faces, and they can tell when someone's digging what they're saying or not digging what they're saying. Right off the bat, from a very young age. At 1 year old, my daughter can see that. She can communicate. And the problem is when we sit down with email, because we don't see the faces of the people that we're sending it to, we lose the ability to think like a real human being and how someone would react. And like TK was mentioning there, going through all the paragraphs of what the product does, that person would never sell that way in real life. But the side of your brain that controls, Daniel Kahneman wrote an awesome book, Thinking Fast and Slow, and he breaks the brain down into two main parts, the analytical side and the emotional side. And when you sit down and write an email using the analytical side, not the emotional side that gives you feelings and real human intuition, and that side is missing. And that's why it can be difficult for people, because they're not writing with the human being in mind that's on the other end. They're writing with their goals in mind. So they're starting where they want them to be, not where they currently are.
Yes. So I'm going to interpret all this then, that yes, email, contextual email is nothing more than a distribution medium, and it lives or dies based on the humans behind it. Send shit in, shit out, great stuff in, great stuff out, right?
Yeah.
So here's my next statement, gentlemen, run with this. So I'm in agreement with everybody. So if it matters what you write, I say that the majority of people write, similar to what Steve says, they write based on what they want. They're id. It's about me. I've got quota to make. I've got money to make. I need. And they're managers, so managers who are listening, I blame you more than the salesperson because of the shit pressure you put on these people. They are running around trying to make a sale, and they're not even thinking for 5 seconds about the needs or desires of the people they're writing to. So isn't that where we have to start first? If you want to be really good with email, you have to start with the end user and their issues, problems, and needs first.
I mean, it's such a big topic, and it's been talked about in sales literature for decades. It's almost a cliche, but you still need to say it over and over again because for some reason people don't get it. It's not about you, it's about them. It's about the other person and what can you offer to them. And you're absolutely right. And frankly, at the volume at which a lot of inside sales teams prospect out, it's very, very, very hard to be personal. It's very hard to make a genuine connection. So I've often said, and I've felt this way for a long time, that the key skill of a 21st century salesperson is their ability to write. Written ability is much more important than spoken ability in sales in the 21st century.
Because I should have put that in my book. That was good.
You can have it for your second edition.
That was good.
Because an email, when I write a great email, if I send you a great email, you forward it around your organization, and other people read it, and it makes an impact on them as well. But if I send you a voicemail, like it gets deleted, right? You listen to it once, and you think, oh, that guy sounds all right. So if you can write well, so I think all salespeople no matter what level they're at, should take writing courses and read Strunk and White and actually learn how to be better writers. They'll be more convincing and compelling, and they'll do better.
I love what you said. I'm a big fan of reading, and in my book I say you need to be able to read, not able to read more, but I love this idea of writing more. TK, what do you think about that? What are your thoughts?
I totally agree. I think written communication is crucial now in selling, especially since even if you are an enterprise rep these days, in between every in-person meeting, you are sending an email. And you know, I see a lot of salespeople sometimes complain like, oh, the slides aren't good enough. Well, guess what? The best reps are customizing the slides for each presentation, and they're able to really communicate that vision. And so I think it sounds obvious, but I think it's important to point out that written communication is really important. The other thing I want to mention is, you know, you look at this webinar, you look at a lot of people we hang out with. In this webinar alone, collectively, we've got, what, 60 years of sales experience. I probably have the least amount of sales experience because I'm an engineer and then I learned how to sell. But the thing to remember also is when you look at inside sales.
I think I've got 60 years right just by myself.
There you go. I'm just 12 years old, so but when you think about it, when you think about inside sales and the type of people that are really embracing brand new tools, really embracing email, one of the things I always try to remind everyone is every year there's a new group of freshmen. Meaning when you were in high school and you were a senior, you were like, I know this school, I know the ins and outs. But that year, there was a new group of freshmen that knew nothing. And in our profession, in our industry, every year there's fresh new people in sales. And they don't know all the basics. And I think that what we take as granted, like value-based selling and solution selling and customer-centric selling, they seem so obvious to us. And it's like, oh, why am I still repeating this? I think the other thing to remember is there's a lot of new people. There's a lot of young people. There's a lot of people that never had sales as plan A and stumbled into sales as plan B and realized, oh my God, this is my calling. But they don't know all the basics, which is why I'm glad you're writing a book. Everyone should write a book because the basics often get forgotten and the freshmen don't know.
That is a fantastic perspective. Fantastic perspective. So therefore, my takeaway from that is that management, sales managers, sales directors, VP of sales, are responsible for the shitty emails that their freshmen send out.
Or the brilliant emails. I mean, with our customers, we spend quite a bit of time helping, you know, customers look through their templates, find the best templates, edit them, make suggestions on best practices about what to use and what not to use, and when to send and when not to send, so that we can, and we build it into the product as well. So we tell people this template's working, that template's not working. Send more of this, don't send more of that, so that people get better and better and better on their own. But all of that is like table stakes, because what's really required is awesome tools and awesome leadership. And when I see a great sales manager, the main thing that I see in their activity is getting down in the weeds with each individual rep and helping them with tactics and specific skill building. That's how you tell a great sales manager. Not that they're setting a big vision and that they're talking a good game in the meeting, but that they'll go in and look through the templates of the salesperson using and help them actually hone their message and make it better.
Steve, what do you think about this? So they're talking about written word, but BombBomb said, forget the written word. We're going to go to the visual piece. Give me a holler on that.
Well, I mean, you're right. I don't recommend video emails for every email, that's for sure. There's a time and place for every type of communication medium, but I'm feeling really depressed right now because I had to take a remedial writing course when I went to Penn State for it to count for credit, so my writing skills aren't so hot. Maybe that's why I'm over here with BombBomb. But before I came over to BombBomb less than a year ago, I managed a sales team, and we were trying to follow up with leads, and we were trying to figure out a better way to convert more leads and to make a real connection. And if I were to ask you, Keenan, are you better if you had to close someone? Would you rather close someone over email or over the phone? Are you better over email or are you better over the phone?
Over the phone.
Over the phone. Are you better over the phone or are you better in person?
In person.
In person. So what we do is when you can't be there, we allow you to record a video, not a marketing video. And here's the difference. It's not a marketing video that the marketing team put together with fancy graphics and pictures and things like that. It's a video of me in my tiny little crappy office right here saying, "Hey, Mark, I'm so happy you filled out the form online. It looks like your business," and I speak directly to Mark's needs. Because what that did for me and my sales team for 4 years before I came to BombBomb is allowed me to communicate in a more human way, because I suck at writing. I'm like one of the people that you guys are talking about that need help and need the assistance from the sales manager. Now, you don't want to send. Oh, go ahead.
You need both, right? You need and every salesperson has a different set of tools.
Yeah.
But I love the idea because it makes a personal connection in a different way. So it's changing things up a little bit. It's changing the conversation, and you get in front of people. Now, some people would be like, "Whoa, what's that dude doing in my inbox?" But some people are going to relate to it, and all you need to do is find those people that are going to relate to it and be like, "Hey, that's kind of cool."
It's the right tool for the right job.
It also reminds me of the stuff that we've seen in email. I'm sure TK is seeing the same things. But if you send out email and it's like beautifully formatted by the marketing department with HTML and background graphics and all that stuff, the open rates and the reply rates are much, much worse
Yes.
than just sending a plain text email that comes right from your inbox.
So there's a shiny authenticity inversion. And the shinier that something is, the less authentic it feels. The more raw, the more organic, the more off the cuff and in your
Real.
office,
Yeah.
the better the response. And we actually see that, one of the things we try to teach our customers is, hey, send out a video first. They don't respond. Follow up with one line of text, too. Like mix the text in with the video, but without all the fancy graphics and the headers and the click here and the gigantic signature underneath. Just send a single line of text with a question and watch how many times that second email, that second follow-up email with one line of text works better than your graphical email.
One of the things we tell our customers, we have the analytics to show what's performing and what's not, and there's so much you can do to optimize the body of an email and all that. But the single biggest advice we give our customers is to remember that people's inboxes moves as fast as Twitter feeds these days. If you look at your Twitter feed, it's like flying, flying, flying. You can't keep up. Forget inbox zero. It is just going. And at the end of the day, it's what sticks out, what's different, what's authentic, what feels real. And that's the way to actually approach it. It's not the perfectly crafted paragraph. It's like, how do you even get it open? What's the subject line? And how do you stick out in that Twitter feed that your customers are barraged with every day right now?
All right, I love this. We're into authenticity. I love this. Authenticity, and I think we're really getting to the meat now. How do you get people to open the email? How do you get them to read it? So I'm going to really want to get us into some really good meaty shit. But before I do that, just coincidentally enough, I got an email a couple days ago, and I just emailed this cat back, told him I'm going to talk about him. I thought this email was badass. I opened it. I was even inclined to give him what he asked for because I thought it was so good. So I want your guys' opinion on this, all right, and tell me what you think. So this comes from Patrick Fackler. So Kiki, do me a favor and tweet out at least to Ringlead, if not anybody else. 'Cause I don't know if Patrick has a Twitter or not, but he's from Ringlead, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. So here's his email, okay? Hey Jim, Ringlead has the most advanced lead gen solutions on the market. I'd like to offer you a very simple trade. Highlighted offer free 50 free qualified leads, asking in bold, 15-minute call to show you how I find them. Accept, ? Decline, go away. Patrick. Below are a couple of links to capture the profile. I look forward to speaking with you. Done. What do you guys think of that?
I like the call to action at the end. Were they buttons, or did it just say?
No, it was it was sort of like accept, decline, or go away with a question mark. So it's telling me what he wants me to say.
I like the beginning. I like the end, but the offer to me is like too generic. It's obviously like a huge campaign. So leads for what? What kind of leads? Why? You know what I mean? Like it would be better if he said, hey, I'd like to find you 50 sponsors for your podcast. You know what I mean? Because then he recognizes what you do and what you want, and I'm going to help you do that. That would be better.
Okay, yeah. I like that.
For me, I wish there was a little bit more about me. calling out so that to show that, hey, you know who I am.
Exactly.
You took the time to research me a little bit.
Yeah,
One of the best emails I ever got, cold emails, was this guy emailed me. It was right after a Series A raise, like 6 months in. He was like, hey, TK, congrats on the Series A raise 6 months ago. Congrats on hiring a sales leader and an engineering leader. I specialize in hiring marketing leaders. I'd love to help you with that search when you're ready. Like, that's like, oh my God. You took 2 minutes and you thought and you emailed me. And that's like, you know what? Even if you're not the guy, I will recommend you to 5 other people because that was so well done.
Yep. Our approach at Yesware, the sales methodology is called PBR, PAPS Blue Ribbon, Purpose, Benefit, Response. So the purpose of my call, the benefit to you, will you respond? PBR. There's lots of methodologies like that, but they all start out with like a basic idea of like, let me give you something first.
Yeah.
What about you, Steve?
Yeah, I agree with what TK said. How that email was sent to TK there, and just 2 minutes of research really impressed him with what that person knew, and it shows. Gary Vaynerchuk talks about it all the time. The law of reciprocity. It shows that person took the time out of their day, and TK meant enough to him or her that it wasn't an automated email, spent the 3 minutes or 5 minutes or 10 minutes researching who TK was, so TK mattered to that email sender, and then therefore TK felt the need to reciprocate and respond. And it's the law of reciprocity. I think it was fantastic.
By the way, you can do that at scale. You can do those email blasts, but with personalized content like that. So I just saw that you hired X and Y, let me help you with Z. And you just go through and fill that out for 50 people, and you can send that out at scale.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's it.
Go. I was going to say, I think you have to be careful. Yeah, I agree. You can definitely do that. I think you have to be careful with that, because an email I receive like 7 times a day is Steve, as the, and then it's fill in the blank off of my LinkedIn profile, where I was the VP of Strategic Marketing. So Steve, as the VP of Strategic Marketing, and I get 7 of the same emails a day, and as soon as I read as the VP of Strategic Marketing, as the CMO, delete. So you got to be creative.
That's right.
Yeah, I think though you can do it at scale. Using fields like that definitely works. But the best way to achieve it, and this is what we teach our customers, you can up-level it 1. Come up with personas. Come up with smaller groups of people that fit a general mold, like CEOs that recently raised. Well, you can write a very personal email to that group. And you don't have to have, as the CEO of a recently venture-backed company, but you can be like, hey, you just raised, and that could be 500 people in your target account list, and you can be super personalized that way.
But by the way,
the
other thing that your email guy did, TK, that I love, is he didn't send the email the day after you announced the raise. He sent it 6 months later. Yeah. Because you get so many freaking emails the day after you raise.
That's all just archived.
It gets lost.
Yeah.
It's just
Ironically, the day after you raise, you declare email bankruptcy.
Yeah, exactly.
Everybody follows the money, right? Okay, so I think we're tapping on 2 things here, because I agree with this idea that it can scale. But Matt, you said it first. I'm going to push on you a little. The idea that says, for me to do an email like I did to TK, that's not 2 minutes of research. It's just not. Let's be honest, right? That takes some time. That takes some effort. So to multiply that times 50, times 100, times 1,000, to find those people, then to see where they are in the status, where is that return on investment so I can get to a...
Did he pause for you guys?
Yeah.
I have no idea what you just said.
You dropped out. You dropped out a little bit. Where do you get the return on investment for that kind of research time? Is that what you're saying?
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Am I back? Okay.
Yep, you're back.
No, sorry. So what I say is, how do you get? There's this threshold, right? There's this point where the amount of time I'm researching to find that really specific information for TK increases my open rates and increases my engagement rates, but I can only do that so much. And so sometimes it gets to a point where I can only get out 7 or 8 or 9 or 12 emails versus 200, and I'd be better off with the 200. How do we know what that is, and how do we do that?
Yeah, well, the starting place for that is to think about how expensive your product is. and how long the sales cycle is. So if it's a long sales cycle and an expensive product, then it's worth spending much more resource behind each individual communication. Whereas, again, back to the $20 widget, if it's a very cheap product, you got to blast it out. But, you know, again, I think that kind of sales is more and more going to e-commerce, so it's a less interesting pitch. I think salespeople who are ambitious and motivated want to move up and sell more and more complicated, difficult, partnership-based things because that's where humans can really add value. And in that world, it's almost always worth doing the research.
And I think this question actually goes not to the SDR or the MDR or BDR, whatever you call it. This question actually needs to be figured out by the sales manager and the leadership because so many businesses don't do the math of what's my OTE of an AE, add my OTE of an SDR, and that's my cost, and what's the quota, collective quota for those people? And is that a profitable mix? A lot of businesses are hiring SDRs and BDRs and whatever because, oh, we should do segment prospecting, but they don't do the math of how much does my product cost and what's the quota, and is this going to be a profitable relationship, or do we need to do this at scale under marketing versus having a personalized SDR team?
I got to say, like, I have to respectfully disagree in terms, at least in terms of our customers. Like, the rise of inside sales is largely predicated on people doing the math on return on investment per hire and per travel budget. And inside sales is getting more and more effective at closing bigger and bigger deals because people have done the math and said it's worth breaking out prospecting and closing into two separate disciplines and having two separate people do those things because they can each be more effective at their job. So I think the days of like sort of spray and pray or put the guy out on the road in a car are rapidly coming to an end, and you're only going to be getting on a plane for closing $1 million deals.
Oh no, I think we both agree on that. Absolutely,
Okay.
Inside sales is the way to go. What I'm saying is a lot of companies put dedicated SDRs on a customer segment that's not profitable, meaning they're going to sell $100 deals or $2,000 deals. If you're selling $2,000 deals, that's your ACV, you shouldn't have a dedicated SDR in that segment. A lot of people haven't figured out that math yet. Absolutely, you should do inside selling. Segmenting makes sense, but you should do that on a target segment that gets you a certain ACV.
Yeah. David Scott has some awesome research about this sort of step function and the break-even point for ACV by deal size and channel.
Yep.
Can you have that research, Matthew?
There's a guy called David Scott. He's an investor for Matrix in Boston, and there's a couple of good blog posts about it.
Sweet. All right, Kiki will put that up in the comments. All right, guys. So here I am. I'm a salesperson. I want to increase my open rates. I want to write better emails. Let's start with the subject line. How should I attack a subject line? Steve, we'll start with you.
Well, personalization always helps. I mean, there's three things that someone's going to look at to decide whether or not they're going to read your email or you're going to be swiped into oblivion. And it's not just the subject line, it's the sender, if they know you or not, so plus or minus. It's the subject line, and it's the first sentence of your email, because that's what someone's going to see when they check their email on their mobile device, and they decide, no, not so much, swipe, or I'll read that later. So those are the three things. If they don't know you, it's strike one. Then you need to make sure your first sentence in your subject line is extremely powerful. If you can personalize a little bit more than just throwing someone's name in on there, like TK was describing before, I don't know what that person wrote in your subject line there, but I'm assuming it was probably pretty darn personable to you. That's the way to do it. There is no secret sauce. You see all these studies about how many words to use, and if you do 5 words versus 7 words, and now you're going to get X amount. That's not the truth. Is it a good subject line? Does it speak to their needs? Is it a human? Is it like you're having a conversation with someone, or is it a marketing pitch? I really can't give you a specific answer there, but those are the 3 things to pay attention to.
I totally agree. The studies and all of that say 3 words are better than 4 and blah blah blah. It's bullshit. Like, here's the best subject line. The best subject line is the one that the person you're emailing is going to open. That's the best subject line. And what is the thing that person's going to open? Well, it depends on that person. That's really the only real answer there. Well, I know some people I can email, then you can say, yo, at scale, look, on a relative scale, And I know Matthew's company has published studies on a relative scale.
We've done a lot of studies on
You
this.
can say the top 5% of our customer base, these are the subject lines that work. But your customer base can be skewed towards software companies or a certain demographic. It really depends. And I think that when you tell people that, hey, it's these 3 words or this type of subject line, it's just not real. You have to get people thinking independently about what makes sense for their target audience and based on what they're selling.
Yeah, we have done a lot of studies on this, and the studies do actually bear out what these guys are saying, which is that the number of words in the subject line does not correlate to the open rate. It is true, though, that within companies that you look at, you can analyze individual subject lines for effectiveness to that target market. So you can look at a prospecting team that sends out 25 emails with different subject lines, and you can look to see which ones get opened or not. And that is more custom and more relevant for that particular company or that particular target market. So in that micro universe, you can actually get very specific about what works and what doesn't work.
Okay, so this is good. So let's just pretend there is no, well, let's agree, but not pretend, let's agree. Let's all validate there is no secret sauce to a great subject line. But
no, I disagree with that. There's many secret sauces, but it depends on who you are and who your target market is.
Yeah.
Not generalizable across the entire universe.
Okay, so all right. So that's what I was sort of leaning into. There's not a secret sauce that we can lay out here that everybody can grab a hold of.
One size fits all, right?
Yeah. Okay. So with that said, done, you guys all provide a service that allows people to find their secret sauce using metrics.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
So let's talk a little bit about that then. And how should you use ToutApp or Yesware or BombBomb to find that? Matt, you can go first.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of features in Yesware that basically provide feedback about what's working and what's not working, from real-time open events or engagement events to A/B testing and stats on which emails are getting replies, which emails are getting opened en masse, and then collaborating amongst the team to figure out across an entire team which messages are resonating. Let's share that. So there's a ton of stuff about that. And then you can tie it to Salesforce data and take it all the way through the sales cycle. You can say, prospecting emails that were sent to this person and got this response resulted in X% more deals than prospecting emails that were sent with this subject line. So it's quite powerful as you put together the narrative of the deal.
Okay. TK.
Yeah, I agree. I think these are table stakes. Whichever email platform you go with, it's going to tell you what's yielding better open rates, eventual close rates across the life cycle. These things are, you can do them. A lot of companies that we talk to aren't even looking at the data. So
that's my point. They're not even doing it.
Start looking at the data. That's more than half the battle. The second thing is have a discipline around experimenting. A lot of companies just create their 2 templates. They look at the data. They're like, great, we're doing awesome. They don't have a discipline on, let's try a new subject line or a new approach once a week and compare that against our baseline and see where that takes us. So that's the second thing, have a discipline on experimenting. My favorite feature on the ToutApp platform, and we do a lot of this analysis as well, my favorite feature is what we call, it's actually called the secret weapon feature. The secret weapon feature is it analyzes, we've got teams that are on the East Coast, West Coast, global, and they're all segmented. The secret weapon feature identifies one template that is not shared, so one rep is using it for themselves. It's a personal template. It's being used frequently and has incredibly high stats. And that gets bubbled up from that secret weapon of one rep all the way to the top to say, hey, manager, this is worth looking at to see if you can propagate to the rest of the region, entire sales force, or just to look at it and say maybe this is not the right thing to use. That's one of my favorite features. But the other stuff like around open rates, click-through rates, success rates, reply rates, table stakes, everyone should be doing it, actually build that culture of experimenting. That's the big thing that I try to highlight.
Sorry, just to jump in on the other aspect that's very interesting with regards to emails and this kind of data and metrics is to bubble it up, as TK was just saying, into an overall engagement score, and then plot that engagement score versus activity. And if you show a sales manager or a salesperson the distribution of your deals on that 2x2 grid of activity here by engagement here, you very quickly see which deals are likely to close, which deals need to be cut, which deals need more activity. And so that kind of reporting is a helpful thing to very quickly sort out all the different steps in the deal, things to do next.
Steve, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I would agree, but I'm going to take it in a different direction because at BombBomb we do the same thing. We have a dashboard, and you can get the analytics on which emails are performing and which ones are not. But because BombBomb, we have a beachhead in real estate, and just like we're talking about for emails to know your audience and know their motivations, we have a real estate beachhead. We cater towards the real estate agents first. We are branching out now into mortgage and automobile sales. But rather than just providing the tool and the metrics, we actually know what can help them close and sell deals. So we focus on the training. We actually train realtors how to follow up with their clients, when to follow up with their clients. We're releasing, I don't want to spoil anything, but we're releasing a brand new training program coming out next month, which is going to be unlike anything else that's been released for realtors, specific with best practices that I've been in the real estate industry for 15 years, and so it's defining these best practices and implementing it with the tool together, and that's something that someone else can't offer. Anyone else can imitate exactly what we have in our product, but no one else can imitate what we know works in their business. And so when we reach out to realtors and we reach out to mortgage reps, we know what can help them, and we have the right conversation to start with.
That's a great example of using technology too for a special use case. Like if I'm looking to buy a house from one of your customers, the ability for them to go in and be like, and here's what the kitchen looks like, is very powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. Very cool. All right. So if you guys notice, we're sort of sticking to this context that it's not the delivery platform of email, but it's how you use it. It's the human behind it. So the second piece that I'm really getting out of this for our viewers is it's the ability to have data and information to influence how you use it. So first you have a mentality that I'm going to use it the right way. I'm going to leverage a PBR. I'm going to leverage the customer at the end. It's not about me. I'm going to think of subject lines that focus on the end user, but it doesn't matter how many they are. I'm going to then implement a solution like TownUp, like GetSware, like BombBomb that gives me the feedback that allows me to make the changes. So if I don't have that, I only have half the solution, correct? Okay.
Correct.
So all right. So let's just say I'm a rep. I'm using these tools. I am focusing on my subject line. What else do I need to focus on to be an email ninja and to maximize the chances of getting responses and getting engagement? TK, you're first.
Well, first of all, we've been talking about email quite a bit. The first thing that comes to mind is, again, with the freshmen and the new reps, what I've seen is they can have a tendency to hide behind email. And a lot of what we try to do on our platform is to say, hey, they viewed the email, they clicked on your link, they're on slide 5, call them. Pick up the phone. Call them right now. There's a call button right there. We have a click to call. It loads the number from Salesforce. It connects you, and when you're done, it logs it for you. That next step, getting out of email, is just as valuable based on the data we're seeing inside of email. And I think that for all the talk around email and sending a video message, at some point, you got to just go and call the guy or show up at their doorstep and say, hey, how's it going? I saw you saw slide 5, but can we maybe talk about it? And I think that that's one of the things that's often overlooked and understated. And so our platform, one of the big pushes we've done over the last 6 months, is to move what I say beyond email. We're not just an email platform. How do you take all the other channels, which is why I look at with BombBomb, like with video, that's another channel. It's not really email, it's another channel. And phone is another channel. Showing up at their doorstep, even if you don't have a meeting, is another probably forgotten channel. I think Matthew did it 60 years ago. People don't do it right now.
Not real estate.
I took my horse and buggy from door to door. Selling subscriptions to the Ladies' Home Journal. No, I mean, we you know, salespeople work in three basic ways. They work on the phone, they work in email, and they work in meetings. And each of those areas then are like you got to be there for all things. And depending again on the price of the thing you're selling, you have more and more access to tools and the opportunity to meet face to face. But for many cheap tools, you don't have the chance because it's too expensive to travel. So you do a video conference like this, which is the same as a meeting. It's amazing. So I think you absolutely, I totally agree with what TK said. Like every time you get the chance to escalate to a more personal, interactive dialogue, you should take that chance.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely, that's the goal. Mixing these tools together is extremely important. In fact, that's why some people actually buy BombBomb. Remax Corporate, not like the Remax office down the road, Remax Corporate worldwide, they actually use BombBomb to sell their franchises.
Wow.
And
Awesome.
they went from a 56% to a 72% appointment kept ratio by sending out a video ahead of time saying, hey, I'm looking forward to our meeting,
Cool.
because now they know who they're saying no to. It's easy
cool.
to say no to text on the screen. It's hard to say no to a smiling face.
That's a cool step.
Yeah.
It reminds me of another tip for your folks, Keenan, and I heard about this recently. I love this study. They basically had a sweatshop dial for dollars penny stock selling guys, and they did a controlled experiment. A third of them taped a picture of someone they loved onto the corner of their monitor, and when they called up the person, they looked at the picture of someone they loved, their mother, their girlfriend, their dad, whatever it was. A third of them taped a picture of someone they hated in their thing, and a third of them left their screen blank. As you might imagine, the people with the people they loved like crushed it. Because when they were talking to the person on the phone, they were looking at someone they loved and they were reminded of the human connection. But more interestingly, even the people that taped a picture of someone they hated did better than the people who had nothing, because they had some genuine emotion. They were reminded of another human being. And the people that did the worst were the people with nothing at all, because they were just dialing for dollars and trying to pound the phones. So
there was nothing human about it.
Nothing reminding you.
Oh, I love that shit. Oh, I love that shit.
I had one more thing. Speaking of channels, one of the things Matthew mentioned is you want to escalate it to a more personal channel, right? Going from email to a phone call to a meeting is escalating in terms of how intimate or personal the conversation is. I think there's some counterintuitive ways to escalate it as well. For example, if you can figure out a way to text the person, in a way, it's not email, it's not in person, but somehow texting is actually more personal than emailing, sending a video, or even in some cases, meeting. And I've actually gotten deals done over text because it's like, hey, man, are we going to get this deal done or what? Like, it's getting to the end of the quarter, and you actually get a lot done that way. And so thinking creatively about these things, like whether it's texting or Instagram, there's some opportunities there that I think are still early and developing, but the reps that figure that out are really successful in doing it.
That's because marketers haven't ruined text yet. Whenever marketers get their hands in something, they ruin the platform, and so texting is still still untouched.
Well, and I don't mean just texting, right? Like if you think about the broader internet, messaging is a massive industry. There's billion-dollar companies, Facebook Messenger, WeChat, WhatsApp. Texting, they're all under that same bucket of communicating outside of email, but in a very personal way. And tapping into that as salespeople is going to become very powerful, just like how tapping into video is going to be very powerful.
Okay, so I'm going to call this something. Tell me, guys, what you guys think, right? Because I'm listening to this. I'm sure it's one of those things that it's flying around everybody's head, but no one's sort of put it in a pretty box. So I'm going to put it in a pretty box. And if we like this, I'm going to challenge each of you to blog about it, and maybe we can get managers and leaders and individuals thinking about this. I'm going to call this an engagement stack, right? Stealing that whole stack thing everybody's on these days. The idea that says I need phone, text, video, email, regular email, data, email, and I have to leverage all of these in my cadence, right? Do I have a cadence that leverages all of these, and do I know when to pull the trigger on which one and how to bring them together to maximize my email responses or maximize my engagement responses, no matter which one they pick up, right? Email, phone, in person. What do you guys think of that?
I love that idea. I think that's a great way to say it. One of the things that we've rolled out in a new tier of service is basically a smart to-do list that tells the rep based on the cadence determined by the sales team, based on what the data in Salesforce, and based on the activities of a prospect, what to do next. So the most important thing for you to do now is research this lead. Then it's to call this person. Then it's to follow up on this email they just replied to. And if they're reading your slide right now, that pops to the top and says call them right now. So just sort that through for the rep and just tell them what the next thing is. They don't have to keep track of it, and they can do what they're really good at, which is making human connection.
PK, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I totally agree. We have a feature called campaigns, also rolled out to a specific tier, ironically. And it's the same idea. You want to have a certain number of steps. There's different channels. And this idea has existed in marketing. You look at the marketing clouds, they're all about what they call orchestration. How do you orchestrate a cohesive strategy across different channels? And the same thing is starting to come over to prospecting and closing. How do you have connecting on LinkedIn, sending an email, calling, following up, sending a follow-up email? How do you do that in a cohesive campaign? And I think that's the next wave that you're going to start to see. I think there's some platforms that have started to do it in a very automated way. I think there are other platforms that are going to start to do it in a more orchestrated way. And I think, again, I'm less about automated and more about orchestration. And so I think it's a huge thing. I think it's the question becomes, the big question becomes, how much of it do you just prescribe using data, and how much of it do you get at least the rep to think about it so that they make smarter decisions? And I think that's going to be the big give and pull, give and take.
Yes.
And we haven't figured that out yet. And I'm a big believer, you gotta put the rep in the driver's seat. And you'll see I have a big Iron Man poster. I'm a big fan of Iron Man. I don't want the machine doing it for me. I want to have the machine make me superhuman. And
Yes.
that's how we approach it at ToutApp.
Yes. Okay. Just because it's my show and I get to plug my own shit. Can you guys see? Can you guys see the name of the chapter of that book right there? What's it say?
Think. Chapter 6.
Think.
Think.
Yes. Chapter 6. Think. Look. Some people think that's the dumbest chapter in the world, but there's a reason I wrote it. With all of the automation happening today, with kids being raised with this everybody wins a participation trophy, with these helicopter moms, with everybody afraid of everybody getting, no one's thinking anymore. They're really not thinking. They're just showing up and being told what to do. And TK, you nailed it. If we could get people to walk out of this show and recognize, hey, I need an engagement stack. I need to understand how I'm going to use the phone, how I'm going to use LinkedIn, how I'm going to use email, how I'm going to use video, integrated to drive the greatest engagement. And there's no machine on the frickin' planet that's going to tell me how to do that. I have to use my frickin' head and figure it out. And TK, Bellows, or Steve can't do that for me.
It reminds me a little bit of like jazz in a sense, because jazz players who are like the top of their game, improvisational jazz musicians, are classically trained, incredibly technical musicians that can play scales and play written music like anybody, and that's the foundation. So you need a foundation of training and skills and understanding and data and technical ability, and when you're good at that, you can riff on top of it and you can go crazy, and that's when you really start to show up.
Yes! Praise be to God! Witness! Yes, yes, yes. All right, so gentlemen, look, we have come to our time, but this is my big takeaway here, is that there are, my big takeaway was in synopsis. In the end, email is nothing but just a dead distribution system that comes alive based on the people using it. As an individual who's using it, I have a responsibility to put something in it that drives the interest and value to the recipient. I have to remember it's a communication method, therefore there's a real person on the other end. I need to be diligent and understanding that I need to be paying attention to the data and looking to see what's working and what isn't working, and I need to understand there's more than one communication besides email, and I need to leverage what we're now going to call the engagement stack. I need to leverage that across all the different touch points and mediums that human on the other end may respond to, and do it in an integrated fashion to maximize my chances of connecting. How's that?
Well said.
All right, so booze. Boom, boom, boom. So with that note, I'll give each of you 30 seconds to give us your synopsis of the last thing you want people to walk away with. Anything you want. You can pitch, you can share, anything you want. 30 seconds each. We'll start with Steve. Go.
I think I learned a lot from this call as well, and in general, I don't think relationships should be automated. I think relationships should be personal, and relationships should be important. Relationships should be one-to-one. So if you're using a tool like BombBomb, you can share yourself with other people, get face-to-face with people more often, and close more business by being face-to-face. So. Yeah, I learned a lot. I want to thank you guys for having me on the webinar, and I learned a lot from Matthew and TK and Keenan, so I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, baby. Thank you. TK, you're up.
I just want to thank you for having me. I think the big takeaway for me is also something that's always top of mind for me. You're in sales. Be human. If I could put a computer to do your job and automate everything, then I would have. The reason you're in that seat is so that you can be human, be authentic, and think. Chapter 5, was it, or Chapter 6 of your book?
Yes.
Actually think, and that way, that's how you get a deal done, and that's how you get a meeting. That's a big take.
So, TK, you said this, and you guys may know about this. Quick interjection. There already is a company out there that does the emails for you called Corsica, or Corsica. Shoot, Conversica. Have you heard of Conversica?
We use it.
Yeah, okay, so people, listen to what TK is saying. If you don't add the personal element, there are already businesses out there who have created an algorithm that talks to people through a computer to get them interested enough before they send them over to an account exec. And I've seen it work.
It works.
Steve, it works. So if you don't want your ass automated, create a reason that it's not. That's great feedback, TK. Great feedback. All right, Bellows, you're up.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's super awesome to talk to you guys. Good to see you again, man. I think, sales in the 21st century is the most exciting field because there are so many people who come to it from different backgrounds. And more, it's not about who you know or how big your Rolodex is or how big your watch is. It's about getting it done. And there's so many people with real energy that come to it without really expecting to be great at sales, but because they got the hustle and the drive, they figure it out. And like TK said, they're all authentic people, right? They're showing up, being themselves, and resonating with people and forming a genuine human connection. So I just want to celebrate all those young salespeople out there that are just getting their toes wet. Sales is like swimming in an ocean of rejection. It's hard work, but you keep at it, and you actually build some friends for life. So I think it's a great profession.
Awesome. Guys, I want to thank you. I love doing these shows. I came in super tired today. Kiki was like, geez, you got to make it. I've been traveling. I've been traveling like crazy. I have high energy as it is. Anyways, I was dragging for me, and now I'm all fired up. I mean, this was a blast. Yes. So guys,
and maybe you give a shout out to all of us for making email sexy again.
Yes, because email is sexy, no question. It's critical. So that was good. I like that. Bring email back.
Bringing sexy back.
I'll have a cute little meme to that effect soon here.
Well, guys, thank you very much. If you want to hang on after this, we can talk for a second. It'd be my pleasure. Folks, thank you for joining the Word. Everybody have a happy holidays. I am not PC, but I believe that I don't know what you celebrate, so I have to be an asshole to assume it's Christmas. So to all those who think saying Merry Christmas is not being PC, you can kiss my ass. I'm respectful of other people. That's my cut it out today. You don't know who you're talking to. Show them respect, be human, and offer up a happy holidays. Or if you don't want to say that, ask them, do you celebrate Christmas? If they say yes, give them a big hug and say Merry Christmas. If they say no, say, hey, happy holidays, and be respectful of other people. That's my word. Guys, thank you very, very much. I got a big virtual hug for you all. Have a great holiday. I know I'll see you at events all over, so I can't wait to see you in person. Thank you for joining the Word. Kiki, did I get everything?
You got everything. I've got this little graphic here. So we are moving to Blab. I don't know if that's showing up well.
Kiki, we got a little graphic here. Oh, okay, there it is.
So moving to Blab. So that little question mark person is you. You can be a part of the conversation in 2016 when we join Blab.
Yes, we want to make it even more personal, more engaging. So Thank you very much for listening, folks. Remember, if you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to our iTunes channel. Get it sent right to your car as you're driving in. You can get all the glory. And until next time, are you ready, Kiki?
I am.
Peace. I'm out.
So just chill till the next episode.